Destiny Classic. I know, I hear your cries. What have they done to us, son? What have they done to us? Let's open you up, shall we? Can I do it with one arm? Expansion Dark Below and House of Wolves? No way I want that one.
This video is going to be discussing Destiny Classic, or in other words, Destiny 1 or Legacy Destiny, however you want to refer to it. This video is going to go over some in-game systems of Destiny 1, what things were like, a showcase of some of my gear from my Destiny 1 account, not all of it, but some of it, vendors in the tower or a tour of the tower, just an in-game look at what the weekly rotations were like for weekly activities, and some other things that we want to discuss, like what things we would like from a Destiny Classic. If Bungie was to ever produce such a thing, what would that look like? Which I'll cover that first quickly, because that's why you'll have clicked the video, is you want to know what I feel about that. Destiny 1's graphic fidelity is fine as it is. However, when you do replay it in 2026, it is choppy to play. It's very choppy and a lot of jank. Destiny 2 is the superior game to Destiny 1, but Destiny 1 has all the soul that Destiny 2 doesn't have. I can talk about a few things about that, but Destiny 1 has a hell of a lot more charm, and it feels much more complete as a game. It doesn't feel like it's, torn apart by systems and multiple different iterations of it. It was just really as it was, although it did go through different changes over its time. So if you ask me what I would want from a Destiny Classic, I don't think they need to remake the game ground up. I'm not a developer, I'm not a software engineer. Maybe if we have any software engineers down below, they can tell us. But what would it take for Bungie to implement the game to be from 30 frames to 60? What would it take to double the frame rate on this game? How much development time would that take? There's no way that should take more than a year to make, right, if they were going to do that. So this is what I would want from Destiny Classic. Have it so that, that we can reset our progress, but you can keep your old account, I guess. Have it so that it's a reset experience, so you play it from the ground up, and that we have an FOV slider, like we do on Destiny 2, so that you can max your field of view. The field of view is too narrow in Destiny 1 compared to Destiny 2. The frames need to be 60 frames minimum, at least, for console 60. Have it launch on Steam as well, and I don't know, have the frames, I don't know whether it would be uncapped or not, depending on the rig, but at least 60 frames per second minimum. Have it so that there's a mantle ability, so that you can mantle objects like we can in D2. I think that you could keep the original Destiny 1 skill trees, or what they could do is add Destiny 2 aspects and fragments. The aspect and fragment system in Destiny 2 does work, in fact. It's actually better than what you think, and I think having that system in D1 would make a lot of sense. And have class abilities, so Titan would have Barricade, Hunter would have the Dodge, and Warlock would have Rifts, because when you replay D1, you haven't got those class abilities, and some of the classes feel... Sometimes when you're playing a class, it seems like there's not as much differentiating differences between all the classes. There is and there isn't. But not having like a Barricade or a Dodge does go against D1 in my opinion. So as a Destiny Classic game, I wouldn't want much from it. Just that it's updated to be playable and not be janky. I don't like jank. Now, I have 3 characters. My D1 is maxed out. I have all raid items. I have all Age of Triumph raid gear. I've got pretty much everything that you can imagine in this game. So that's my Titan looking so hot right now. King's Fall Age of Triumph gear. I've got my Hunter here. And obviously my Warlock. We're going to log into Titan here. And we're just going to go through a couple of things or points that I want to cover. So... if we talk about weekly systems so far, so you have this menu, this is the UI, no portal, this is the UI. We've got as the weekly sort of Crucible thing going on is Mayhem Rumble, and you get Treasure of Ages, which is kind of like an Eververse cosmetic thing. and you open that box up and you get cosmetics and so on and so forth. We've got weekly story playlist, which Destiny 2 does have this as well, but it just seems much more varied in D1, and the missions seem a bit more varied. So we've got a Rise of Iron weekly story playlist, Heroic, Berserk and Brawler. These weren't very difficult from what I remember. You get legendary marks as well, and you can farm it up to 5 times, you can see. We've got the Seaver Crisis Heroic Strike playlist. I'll come into that later on. We've got the Weekly Nightfall. The Weekly Nightfall, as far as I'm aware, is Shadow Thief, which is not one of my favourite strikes from D1. There's much better strikes than Shadow Thief. I believe because we've kind of got that area from the Shadowkeep era. There's a Shadowkeep variant in Destiny 2 of Shadow Thief, kind of. Well, there is. And then you've got the Elder's Sigil required for, this is, I believe, Prison of Elders. I believe it's Prison of Elders, this. Right, it's locked because I need to go and pick up an Elder's Sigil. And then the weekly featured raid would be, obviously, Crota, because it's on Moon. I don't know why it just doesn't tell you. It's the 390 Power Age of Triumph version. Heroic, Deathsinger Challenge, and Crota's Challenge is on. You get raid set, gear, Age of Triumph ornaments, and then it says unknown rewards as well. So that's there's a clean UI at the bottom, I must say. If we come to Crucible, because it needs to be mentioned, in Destiny 2, there's only so many playlists now, and they've removed them. But look at D1's Crucible. This is insane. As we said, we've got Mayhem Rumble there. You've got Control, which we do like Control, Supremacy, Elimination, Salvage, and Rumble. And then you've got your private matches. Man, that's good that all those playlists are there. I know it does separate the player base a little bit if it's small, because that means all different styles of players are in all these. But it's nice to see a UI like this compared to Destiny 2's. Vanguard Strike playlists, right? You got your base strikes, level 20 strikes, yes. You've got your level 36 post-Taken War content from King's Fall, the Taken War strikes at level 36, yeah. That was tied to leveling up and stuff. Then you've got your Seaver's Crisis strike playlist at 320 light, yeah. No mods. I'm going to have to back out and go back in. The UI is clunky on D1 compared to D2. You can't even back out of menus. This is it, Seaver Crisis Heroic Strike playlist. These were tough sometimes. Some weeks you'd come up and it would be tough. Catapult, grenade recharge is greatly increased. Airborne is on, fresh troops, and heroic. The Seaver Heroic Strike playlist was nuts, was absolutely crazy. And I believe you could spend your skeleton keys in here, right? I believe that you could. But yeah, that's just showing you that, right? So we've been over that. What I will say as well about D1 being more complete, you could load up any planet and all of the campaigns and all of the stuff was there. Look at how busy this map is. This is what a map should look like in this type of game. D2's map is nothing like this. D2's map is bare bones skeleton looking for public events. This is great. Look at this, Scourge of Winter. You know, you can replay it at any time when you want to. Yeah? That's what I'm saying. All of it was good that way. Just look at this. Look at this map here for Earth, right? And then you got your Rise of Iron Temple. I didn't think about going there. I don't think I'm going to go there in the video. I didn't think about going there. So yeah, you've got your Mars, you've got your Dreadnought. So it's all fully complete that way, right? Now we come on to the Quest tab. So, or the Progress tab, it says it. Now look at this commitment. These are 10-year-old Trials of Osiris bounties. These are 10-year-old. Okay? Or 9-year-old, depending on when I did them. But yeah, look at this. I mean, that is commitment. That I'm deserved to subscribe for that. Subscribe just for this. Look at the commitment. Do you realize how old these bounties are? I don't think I'm going to hand them in, you know. I don't think I'm going to hand them in. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it a little longer and then maybe hand them in on a video on another date. Yeah. So you got your post-game quests. Post-game Taken King was very good. You got your kill your Taken Lieutenants. The post-game quests were very good for Taken King. That was what set Taken King apart. You got things like Court of Oryx. I've got an SRL quest here. So you can see the quest. The UI is clean. It's all right. It holds up. You got your reputation here. So I'm rank 46 with Cryptarch, 10 with House of Judgment, okay, 48 with Zavala, Queen's Wrath rank 4, and then you got your factions, your Dead Orbit. I'm with Dead Orbit at the minute. I'm pledged to Dead Orbit, but there's New Monarchy and Future War Cult as well. Rank 14 with Gunsmith. So there was so much, man. That was like really good. Now, this is where Triumphs came from. Okay. Rise of Iron comes out 2016. Let me get my years right. It comes out 2016, and a little book comes out called The Rise of Iron Book or whatever, right? Complete Rise of Iron milestones to rank up the required book and earn rewards. Now look at these rewards you could earn. Okay. You even got a Winter's End shotgun here. So yeah, the rewards were cool, right? You got emblems and stuff. Okay, the rewards were all right, but what was more important was the actual active you completing this book. This is where Destiny 2 got the idea for triumphs and triumph score and maybe seals. It come on to the idea of getting seal titles and all that stuff, right? But just look at all of this. I mean, I completed the book 100% as it launched in 2016. Look at this, take a strike, 288 strikes during that era, and I only needed to do 20. So there was all these triumphs, okay? There was all these triumphs, and this was genius when they brought this out. And I prefer this. I prefer this as opposed to Destiny 2's triumph system. Destiny 2's triumph system is overstimulating, and it's overwhelming, and it's too much. There's too much overstimulation for completing triumphs. Whereas if it's a book like this, I know that it might be the same thing to you, but having it as a book like this, plainly labelled to me to say, hey, I need to go and do this. Like, I need to go and get 2,000 kills on Plaguelands. I got 71,000, right? I prefer this UI design. It's more friendly and it's more directing to what I want to go and do and motivated to go and do it. Triumphs, there's far too many triumphs in Destiny 2 and half of them don't account to anything, and I just didn't like it. This setup is far superior to Destiny 2's Triumph system. And I know that there's some Triumph secret hunters in Destiny 2 that still do it. I have completely abandoned Destiny 2 Triumphs in Destiny 2 because I just think that it's pointless. Outside of solo flawless stuff, I just don't really care. Unless it's a good emblem, you know, if I'm going for an emblem. So yeah, like look at this. Defeat bosses in Wrath of the Machine raid. 282 bosses slain. 208. Look at this triumph here. Look at all this stuff. Okay. Deliver voltage to the Foundry Spinners in the Wrath of the Machine raid. 955. I can't even remember what that was. We'll talk a bit about Wrath of the Machine in a minute. So there's all these Wrath of the Machine stuff. Look. This was genius, lads, right? Forged in oh, that's for PvP. Got a 13 KD there on one game. Jesus, I was a king back then. So yeah, there you go. And then it got better with that. Then you got SRL. You got this SRL here, competitive spirit, but it was SRL during that time. So you had loads of SRL triumphs. Look at all of this. Yeah, that was really good. We had moments of triumph, yes, and we had Age of Triumph. So moments of triumph. Okay, this was sort of near the end cycle of D1. So you had complete any sword quests, defeat Oryx in King's Fall raid on hard difficulty, complete the Taken King main quest line. Yeah, you had all this stuff. I'm trying to look more for raid stuff. Oh, it was just that one screen. So this was more at the end. Look at this. Collect all 50 calcified fragments. That was tied to a post-game quest for King's Fall, for the Taken King DLC. But moments of Age of Triumph was the true golden age of D1, in my opinion. This was where I was raiding. 12 times a week. You know, I was raiding that much, probably more at times, yeah? I was really into raiding in D1, much more than D2 for sure. Okay, so we had, let's just go through this, trying to look at where this picks up, because there's some huge things. So Blackguard, and we've seen, this is campaign stuff. Right, let's just go to where it really counts, because I did complete the book 100%, but there are some things missing. So look at this, 11,333 orbs generated. Look at all of this. Grenade kills, 10,000 grenade kills on Titan. Yeah. See how much more direct this book is as opposed to Triumphs in D2. Mountain Summit. No, that's just for leveling. I'm trying to find where the raids are, right? So complete strikes on heroic difficulty, 210 out of 20. Nightfall strikes, 117 nightfall strikes beaten. Man, during that era. That was just for that era though. I'd done much more than that before that. I am trying to find the raid stuff. Where's the raid stuff at? Okay, so it's 13 pages. Here we go. Complete the free 90 light version of Vault of Glass. Crota's End, free 90 light. This is all Age of Triumph. King of Kings, free 90 light version, King's Fall. Here we go. Complete the free 90 light version of Wrath of the Machine. Yeah, they all got updated. Here we go. Eliminate all Gorgons in the free 90 light version of Vault of Glass. This was a timer yet to beat. The Death Singers challenge within 2 minutes. We beat it. I beat it in 1 minute 56, only beating it by 4 seconds. See, look at all these raid challenges. Collect all raid emblems. All raid challenge emblems, right? Milestones completed. And it just goes on and on and on. So you see how the books were extremely successful for increasing the longevity of Destiny 1. Destiny 2 should go back to this system. The Triumph system is no good. I don't even like, seals that much. There's only Conqueror that I care about, really. I know people care about the raid seals as well, but I mean, you can still have the seal system. I'm not that bothered about seals. It's more about the Triumphs, and there's just no overstimulation, whereas this is perfectly focused and driven. So I just thought I would cover that, right? So what I'm going to do now is we'll go to the Reef, we'll go to the tower as well, and just look at some stuff on some vendors, just have a little bit of a tour of the tower. I'll show you some loot as well, some of my gear and my vault, etc. Okay, so let's explore the Reef. Let's have a look at that, right? And yeah, we'll do that. So we got Pet Revenge over here. She was a quest giver, sort of a post-game House of Wolves, and then she had sort of different iterations. She's got one bounties here, so you go on different planets, right? So we've got to go Venus and kill 12 lieutenants or whatever, right? This was really good. There was nothing wrong with bounties in D1 at least. It wasn't overstimulation. It was just enough bounties so that we was focused on the task at hand and we wasn't overstimulated with millions of bounties, but just enough to get us by. Yeah? Some emblems here. There was a rank 3 reward for the ship. I remember people going for the ship at Pet Revenge. There was a shader as well. Let's just have a look at that. This shader was fire. Was it Imogen's fire or was it the other one? It could have been Palace Victor's. Yeah, this shader was fire. Look at that. Yeah, people were going for those shaders. Yeah. Okay, let's have a look at Varix, probably one of my favourite characters of Destiny franchise ever. Especially the D1 version. I've got a Challenge of Elders weapon here. I'm not picking it up for nobody. Yeah, this is it, look. This is the tightness. This stuff's 10-year-old and I ain't picking it up for nobody. You'd have to do loads of subscribes to me today for me to open that up. Heavy ammo finders and special ammo finders. Yeah, don't have that in D2. They should probably bring these back as well. I know it would maybe break certain encounters, but I mean, if you balance that by buffing bosses' health pools, I guess it would balance it out. And maybe it's a balancing nightmare. Maybe they can't do that, but that's the Elder's Sigil for Prison of Elders. Yeah, and we've got some bounties. There's not a lot of bounties, but just enough to get us by. Yeah, it was all focused. What's his loot? It's just class items, but look at this. Look at this Taken Sword, Dreadfang. Look at that. Dude, in D2, we want that. Look at that. I've actually forgotten about this. This weapon deals bonus damage against taken enemies. Will of Light. Will of Light. I can't believe that, dude. I forgot about that one. Right, what other vendors? Brother Vance. He was the Trials of Osiris original vendor. Brother Vance, how you been, son? So he's got material exchange, passage coins. So I can exchange passage coins for Motes of Light. And vice versa, right? So he's, I don't know why it's fairly limited. You've got your iPads. I'll cover that when I'm in the tower. Or I might have already been in the tower. I'm struggling to load the tower up. I keep getting an error coded in the tower. I don't know what's going on with that. Look at this commitment. A postmaster full. Right? Even now, some of these items, the blues, man. Like I say, I'm full, not enough space, can't transfer nothing. Zer used to be down here. If Zer was in the Reef, he would come here. This is where he would come, right in there. So yeah, the Reef was a nice little social space. Yeah, it was a good one. It was condensed. It was maybe a bit too small, but for its time it worked, I believe. Especially with the way it looked, right? And having more social spaces in a game like Destiny is advantageous. To only have maybe just the tower, like in D2, isn't really good, in my opinion. Look at all this atmosphere. Huge. So that's the Reef. Okay, so I finally got the tower to load. I had to reset my game. But this is going to be a tour of the tower, showing you vendors. I'll show you my vault, some weapons, maybe talk a history of some weapons. I mean, I can't talk about them all. I want the video to be, half an hour, 35 minutes. Not much longer than that, though. So let's have a look at, obviously, the D1 tower. Yeah, we'll talk about that. But let's, Master Rahul, this boy was really tough. In D1, this guy would turn purples into blues, blues into whites. Yeah. He was insane. You could buy legendary engrams from him for marks. 100 legendary marks. 200 was the cap. Legendary marks was a very good material. Very good endgame currency. Okay, Gunsmith. Now, Gunsmith had his own unique days and weeks. You would test out weapons and then you get foundry offers and such. Yeah, you could exchange for mats. But there was a special weapon called the... It was called the Irene, and it was a very special Omolon sniper, very good for Wrath of the Machine, for getting really good damage and stuff. Although there was the Wrath of the Machine raid sniper that was Omolon that done increased damage and stuff. But there was some good weapons from the Gunsmith. Also the Suros PDX, which I've got in my vault. Gunsmith was amazing in D1. He was amazing. Honestly, I've got no complaints about how good I think he was better in D1 than he is in D2. The Gunsmith. Yeah, I mean, he's called the Gunsmith, right? So you would hope that he does that job. Eris Morn, I mean, she was linked to her stuff. We've got some runes for Court of Oryx. It was the Court of Oryx vendor. That's what she was. Material exchange, which is nice. We like to see material exchange. D2 doesn't have material exchange. Barely has it. Shax. Okay, so Shax was good as well for like ranking him up, and I think it was called the Mountaintop Quest, and when you got to the Mountaintop Quest and finished it, you would then get a rocket launcher and stuff. I believe it was Hothead. You got Hothead at the end of it. Available bounties, he's only got 2, but look at how good they were. Weekly bounty, weekly Crucible bounty. This is what we need to go back to. 7 matches, 50 primary kills, 30 kill credits, crest denied. See what I'm saying? They're not overstimulating you with too much. Well, it's a big bounty. It's a weekly bounty, but it's not like 10 million bounties. It's 1 or 2. This is miles better of a system. Yeah, then you would log in every week for Godroll Ghosts. Yeah, you would look for Tier 12 Ghosts. Tier 12 able. Now, to talk about what Tier 12 is, so basically, I'm not rocking Godroll armor here. So what's this? Tier 5, 8, 10. So this build isn't that good. It's only Tier 10, nearly Tier 11. But Tier 11 to Tier 12 was God status in D1. And you would log in every week to check these vendors for Tier 12 able ghosts. Yeah, you've got some gear down here. Look at the weapons. Arc Edge, Soul Edge, and Void Edge. See? These were the first 3 swords in the Destiny franchise. Yeah, the first 3. Right. Crucible Quartermaster. Boom, let's get on with it. Blue Sparrows, and again, look at these bounties, not much, 5 bounties to pick from, and you wouldn't do these bounties in one game. It might take 4, 5, 6, 7 games, but that would be, not too bad. You're not overstimulated. I preferred bounties. I preferred bounties over the new orders, the Vanguard orders in D2. In actual fact, I don't think I like them anymore. When I go back to D1 and look at this is miles better. Yeah? Crucible weapons. You would come and log in to see the palindrome god roll. Yeah, so we've got a, I'm not going to cover all these rules. I'm just going to show you them. It's got 0-day dilemma here with counterbalance. I guess we'll just, because we don't want the video to be too long. Hero Formula was a very good scout in Wrath of the Machine. You had the roll. You needed explosive payload on it. That's not a roll. Yeah. Palindrome was the PvP meta. Hidden Hand and Outlaw. I cannot remember for the life of me what the god roll was for Pally, for PvP. That's not my expertise. He's got a fusion here. 44 curtain call. This was a good PvE shotgun with the right roll as well. Sidearm, we had a sidearm PvP meta and they were unbelievable. They were special weapons, not primaries. Yeah, so there's some weapons here. I mean, there's nothing iconic too much apart from Pally. Yeah, right, let's move on swiftly because I've got the iPads to cover as well. So let's just go to my respective vendor, which in my case would be Zavala. You had these rank up packages and look at this. You could pick what you wanted. Armor or weapons. Armor or weapons. I mean, damn it, how good can this be? Chroma here, chroma gear. Or if you wanted a weapon, yeah, people would search out for the, there we go, now I've finally remembered the name, LDR. You would want a triple tap casket mag LDR for DPS Wrath of the Machine. And you would farm Zavala for this. Yeah, and there's a whole host of Badger CCL, what a weapon that was. Yeah, it was a very good weapon. Loads of different weapons, but like I say, you could focus. So let me just see what he's got. Okay, you would come and look at his ghosts and see if they are obtainable for tier 12. You know, I honestly, I'm not going to tell you right now what these ghosts are, but I'm just telling you what we used to do. You would log in to see what armor or ghosts he has. Yeah, ghosts were very important. And you had your Nightfall. He was the Nightfall vendor, look. Yeah, he was your Nightfall vendor. And there was only 3 bounties, but they were very important for that Nightfall system. There you go. I'm not going to look at, I can just load Cade up. You won't see what he's got. You need to be on a hunter. You need to be on a hunter. I'm not on a hunter right now. You've got your iPads. Yeah. So you got exotic. This is like your first iteration of collections. Okay. Now then, you could re-roll your exotic armors as well. So you would get exotic shards to re-buy. But let's just see how you re-roll a exotic. You would use glass needles, right? Whatever it was called. Let's see, where is that system? Here we go, Twist of Fate, here we go. Changes the stats and upgrades available on this armor. Glimmer, 250, materials, 10, and glass needles. Dude, this is what we want in D2. Where are we at? They had the system then. Twist of Fate. I mean, my God, that sends shivers down my spine. I mean, how old's that system? That was brought in 2016 or 15, I'm not sure. But I mean, my God, you could re-roll exotic armor in D1. It was hard. It was hard to get glass needles. It was hard to get them. Here's all the collections. I own every single exotic in the game, I believe. So we're not going to go through all of that. But yeah, you could repeat. That was your first iteration of collection system. Yeah. So let's go on to, there's 2 wings of the tower, yeah. We'll go to probably the we'll go this side. We'll go left wing of the tower, right? Tour of the tower. So obviously you had your factions in D1, and you would pledge to a faction on a given week between New Monarchy, Future War Cult, and Dead Orbit. Now we have got that system in D2 with Renegades. They realised that we need factions. I mean, wow, of course we needed factions. We've always needed factions. They just blamed the rally event and said in D2, oh, we tried it and it didn't work. No, they can't blame the player base for that. They got it wrong on factions and they should never have sunset factions. Look, change allegiance. New Monarchy. So you would log in to see his armour. Again, for T12, acceptable stats, we would check it. You would use third-party apps and websites to establish whether these roles were good. I'm not going through that now with you, but you would. Material exchanges, same old story. So you would look for all the roles. So he's got an assembly here with persistence, perfect balance, and high cal. You would look at all of this, right? Okay, there was free will here. We've got a sidearm. There was nothing incredible from New Monarchy, if I'm being honest, on the PvE side of things. Bad Counsel was an okay shotgun, I remember. But again, it was all about the role. It was all about the role. He's got a sniper here. Oh, it's got triple tap. Triple tap. Take a knee. No, there was better snipers than that. I remember that. He's got a LMG here. So here you go. The Ghosts. Let's move on. I think New Monarchy was my least favourite faction. Right, Speaker. We've got to go to Speaker. Speaker passed away Vanilla D2. They killed off Speaker and they should never have done it. They done it for story purpose. The Speaker should never... They should have had a new Speaker for the tower, right? When he deceased... There should have been a new Speaker come into the tower to take that position, because the Speaker was a good mechanic in D2 for material exchanges. Yeah, Ascendant Shards, that was linked to look at the Ascendant Shard idea. We have that in D2, but it served a different purpose. It was raid. You would exchange Vault of Glass materials, Ascendant energy, to shards. So he had the class items, and there was obviously exotic class items as well, but the Speaker served much more of a purpose. Okay. Now, I don't know where Zer is. He's not here. I'm not finding out Zer. We can maybe find out. We'll see if I go and find him. But yeah, you had the iPad system, access holiday items. Yeah, you had all this stuff. Ava Levante was here as well. You've got access shaders. So it was the collection system, but spread out amongst the tower. Very interactive, I must admit. Yeah, Eva was the shader person, Chroma as well, and some emblems. So she served a purpose. She wasn't a holiday event person only. She had more of a purpose than that. Okay. We'll just go around here. I don't know where Zer is, so maybe I will seek out Zer. Zer has random RNG locations. After this segment, I probably will seek him out and see what he's got on him. Yeah, and then we'll look at my vault as well. So this video is going to be actually rather long. It'll always be longer than what I anticipate, because there's a lot to talk about. Damn, I'm slow here. Slow on this Titan here. Because there's the Quartermaster up here as well. Here we go, Vanguard Quartermaster. That's what I was wanting to come to here. So there was some good weapons amongst this. We've got the Continental AR, I believe. Pulse Rifle. Angel's Advocate. Again, this did come with some good rolls. It just depended on what traits. You wanted crowd control and stuff like that. Got a hand cannon here. How dare you? Right. Fusion. That was a good sidearm. Teacup. Oxum's Razor. They all look... The gun models, some of them were a lot of similar. 7 Semps. Yeah, what's this got? This tripod was a golden S+ trait in D1. Vacuum, Army of One. Army of One is for grenades. So this got Demolitionist. This is the birth of Demolitionist, Army of One. Yeah, a lot of traits got renamed in D2 from D1. Dead Orbit. So Dead Orbit is probably my favourite vendor in D1, but the pool did change, right? So obviously, again, you got Dead Orbit themed armor. You would look at that. You would look at the ghosts every single week. Has he got yeah? So look, we've got intellect, discipline. See, you would often go for intellect, discipline, super and grenade. So Dead Orbit weapons. Keystone was a very good weapon. I remember using it. Scout rifles were in D1. They were very good. Worlds to Come. I don't remember using that. Now, Last Ditch, I have and used this a lot, especially when I was soloing Nightfalls in D1. I used Last Ditch Dead Orbit shotgun a hell of a lot. Bitter Edge, never really used that. Rocket launchers were much of the same depending on what traits you got, right? It really mattered about traits. Cluster bomb rockets. Okay, let's go to the next faction. Amanda would sell rare ships and sparrows. I can't remember what those were, but people do mention on Reddit when she's got rare ships. I don't know, is this a rare ship? I can't mind what the rare ships were, but she used to sell them. For people that cared about it, I didn't care that much about rare ships and stuff. Well, only one rare ship, and I'll talk about that in a minute, or in a bit. Future War Cult. It was also a decent vendor, probably better than New Monarchy, but I mean, again, so this hand cannon was a bit slow from what I remember. Remember, RPM is linked to the size of the mag, so it's a low mag. I didn't really like it. Waltz, that was quite a decent pulse rifle. Yeah, probably better than that. So the Wounded, that was a good look at this. We got Crowd Control, which is basically Rampage. This is Rampage with Outlaw. And yeah, that was a pretty good. You wanted Crowd Control and Explosive Payload together, and I have got that roll somewhere. Maybe it's on my vault or on my characters, I don't know, but I have still got it. This was an amazing rocket launcher, the Warpath. Cluster bombs. We've got Flayed Magwell. I don't believe that's the absolutely best roll on it. I can't mind, but Warpath was a very good rocket launcher. I remember that being very good. So there you go. You've had the vendors and stuff. The tour of the tower. There is more to show you. There's a disco place down here. I don't think I'm going to turn that on. I'm frightened I'm going to get kicked from the tower. I keep getting kicked from the tower, so I'm going to have to keep this bit a little bit shorter, and we'll move on to next, showing you my some of my vault items and stuff like that. See what's in the vault. Okay, so now I'm at my vault. Yes, you do need to access vault in-game in the tower to do this, but I'll just first quickly mention a few things. So as we said, Ghost would impact your build greatly. Having a very good well-rolled... This isn't the best rolled Ghost, but it's a very rare Ghost. I've got many Ghosts. But what I'm saying is this would impact builds greatly, your Ghost. And the Ghost in D2 I don't like. I prefer D1 Ghosts. They're actually a superior version of what a Ghost means. Having Ghost with stats was massive personality. Look at this Taken Ghost shell. Anyways, so... weapons I've got on me, let's just have a look. I've got the exotic versions of like Fatebringer, the exotic one, Vex Mythoclast here, Zalos Supercell, fan favourite, unbelievable, Hawkmoon, yeah, Chaos Dogma was a beast. It was Wrath of the Machine, Scout Rifle. This thing would shoot forever with triple, double and triple tap. Unbelievable. Red Death was good for its time, did start to lackluster though at the back end of D1's life cycle because other weapons like Doom of Chalchis was just better. This thing was really good. And what you're going to realise, lads, is King's Fall introduced auto-load holster. Technically, it was a trait called Cocoon. So when stored a short time, this weapon is automatically reloaded from your reserves. Do you understand that? Do you understand how important auto-load holster is to D2? Well, it started with this. King's Fall brought it in. King's Fall brought it in. The Distant Star, that was your Iron Banner stuff. Iron Banner gear was very good. Remember this Scout Rifle, Burning Eye Adept Trials? Yeah? This was an amazing weapon. I don't think I've got the best roll on it, but explosive rounds was needed because it could one-shot Shanks, because Shanks had no crit spot in Wrath of the Machine Raid. Yeah? Loads of different weapons. Praetorian Foil was extremely rare in D1, but I got... The original version was, but the Age of Triumph version wasn't. We could get it rather easy. But the original Praetorian Foil was almost bugged, and it would never drop for people. Yeah? We got Telesto. This was where the birth of Orbs of Power came in. Yeah? This started it. Harbinger's Spark. This is where your Orbs of Power came from. Telesto introduced it. That was the first system. Icebreaker original D1 version, probably still better than the D2 version, although the D2 version is good. I think D1 version is still better though. Yeah, Lord of Wolves, Black Spindle, from the mission, Black Spindle, yeah, with different ornaments. I don't want to, yeah, that's the original. So this one, yeah, I've got the original Black Hammer as well, we can show you that. So the sword, this is my all-time favourite sword in the Destiny franchise, Dark Drinker. Yeah, and it was meta for Wrath of the Machine Raid as well. That's where it really come in. Everybody thought Raid's Light was better, and it maybe was for some things, but because the final boss had multiple legs, Dark Drinker was better and it done more damage. I haven't got Razor Lighter on me, but it's on a different character probably. Sleeper Simulant, the original, right? Bolt Caster. This was how caster frames come to fruition from D2. This is where it originated from. Bolt Caster wasn't as strong as the other swords, but it was in PvP. It was a menace. Original Galahorn. We had to rebuild it. People forget we had to rebuild the Iron Galahorn in Rise of Iron Launch, and there was a quest tied to it. We had to literally build it. That sort of... It wasn't crafting, but it was close to it. Yeah, there was a quest to go and pick it all up. We had Artifacts. Now, Artifacts was insane. Different systems, right? I'm not going to really cover... I'm going to cover another video on Artifacts, maybe down the line about it. I don't want to talk for too long about that. Right, okay, let's get into the vault. Let's see what I've got. So you've got it split into 3 tabs. Let's just cover general first. So I've got Court of Oryx mats, yeah. I've got a Moments of Triumph. That's just the book, I guess. A Ghost Shell here for some reason. Maybe it's a decent roll. I've got a damn Iron Armor class item thing. I haven't covered Eververse. Maybe I'll cover that as well in a minute. Yeah, so we've got all these mats here. The materials in D1, I mean, we've got some rare Halloween mats as well. So yeah, that's just what we've got there, right? Let's go to weapons. Now, I can't cover every weapon. It'd take too long. I've got Fellwinter's Lie. We remember how strong that was in PvP. Strangel's Rifle was given from Vanilla D1 campaign. Black Hammer, the OG. The OG Black Hammer, look. Mulligan, yeah. You've got all of the stuff. Hive Disruptor increases damage to Hive mages. This was the original meta sniper in D1. White Nail. Rapidly land and free precision shots will refill the magazine from your reserves. And that ammo, they nerfed White Nail, where the ammo used to come from thin air, so it was unlimited ammo. But when they changed it so that it comes from your reserves, they nerfed White Nail. Then they made it an exotic. Suros PDX-41, I mentioned this via the Gunsmith. It was an insane weapon for PvP. Insane. I love... That was probably my favourite PvP weapon, one of them. I've got a Pally here. Right, rangefinder roll. Right, what else? Clever Dragon meta. Anyone remember Clever Dragon? Counterbalance, quick draw. Right, let's see. We've got Simlar's Wrath. That was from Iron Banner. Inward Lamp Adept. Let's see why that was a Trials weapon. It was okay. Steel Medulla. What a weapon this was. Sign of 4. Yeah. Landing free burst on a target causes the target to causes the 4th burst to do extra damage. Full auto. That was an amazing weapon. Yeah, we've covered that. Aphrodite's Spear. I think you could one-shot, body shot in PvP. I can't remember exactly. Vision of Confluence, the original. Yeah, the original version. Oh no, that was the Age of Triumph version because it's got Rise of Iron logo. That's the Age of Triumph version. Grasp of Malak. We would farm the strike over and over the Nightfall for this. This was an amazing weapon for PvP. Amazing. Yeah. So let's just gloss over some of these. Badger CCL, that was a good one. Treads Upon Stars could drop with crowd control and explosive payload. There we go, I've got it. There we go. That is the PvE GOAT. You would want to get a scout rifle with crowd control and explosive rounds. There it is. 1,000 yard stare, that's the name of it. Don't think this is my roll though. There was better rolls. There was the triple tap roll. Yeah, you got Wounded here. Let's just keep going. Harrowed Quillam's Terminus, an amazing LMG in D1. Spare Change was a very good weapon in PvP as well. I remember it being very good. Last Word, of course. Cryptic Dragon was insane as well with the right roll. I've got a better roll than that. It would drop with insane rolls. Soros PDX-45. Hopscotch Pilgrim. Again, PvP weapon. I can't talk forever about this though. Darkblade Sprite. Loot Pacific, loot for strikes. Darkblade weapon, Darkblade. Quantiplasm, Wrath of the Machine. Irene, RR4. Is it the Look in the Chamber I got on it? Look in the Chamber, man, I forgot about that. Mulligan. There's better rolls than that though. Vestigian Dynasty, we remember that. Let's go to page 2. Page 2. Sound and Fury, Wrath of the Machine, Rocket. I don't remember using it that much, not the Rocket. Hang on, we're back to page 2. We're back to page we're back to page 1 there. Okay, let's have a look now. Harrow Defiance of Yasmin, we've seen that. 1,000 yard stare, is this the roll? Triple tap, Firefly. You wanted Casket Mag, I believe. So there is a God roll somewhere in here for that, or it might be on one of my characters. Yeah, we've just looked at that 1,000 yard. Why are we keeping this one now? Okay, like I say, I'm just thinking about what weapons to really talk about. Matador 64, amazing weapon, of course. We love that. Fang of Ute Adept, this was the exotic version of it. Fang of Ute was amazing, and it was arc primary. It was a burn weapon that sit in your primary slot. Vision of Confluence, we've covered it. Hawksaw was a very good PvP weapon. Ice Luna, my god, the D1 version. Yeah. Source PDX 45, we've mentioned that. I have got more loot, but on my other characters. Yeah. Devil's Dawn was a weapon for Rise of Iron, and it was a decent sniper. Swordbreaker, Crota's End Shotgun, not like others. Now, that's got crowd control. Like I said, crowd control was good. Jolder's Hammer was good for... Jolder's Hammer used to melt at one stage in PvE. I'm pretty sure that it did. Yeah, Jolder's Hammer, but this isn't this is not the weapon. That is not the original version. I think there was a better version. Yeah, Vacancy Fusion, this was decent. 1,000 Yard Stairs, we've said. LDR as well. That was a weapon that we used to go for. Okay, let's see what else. These Omolon fusions in Destiny 1 hit different. They were insane, the Omolon fusions. Oh my god, the feel that they had. Also, we've said this. Okay, what else? Nothing much else. So this was the GOAT in the end. It was golden standard sniping in D1 PvE. The Ex Machina Wrath of the Machine sniper rifle was insane. It was insane, right? It actually was like really worth to use that rather than use Black Spindle. Sometimes you're better off just using that. Cryptic Dragon, is this the God roll? Yeah, explosive payload, crowd control. I'm sick of this vault resetting. Yeah, the vault's clunky in D1. Don't really like the vault in D1, to be honest. Okay, so yeah. Chaos Dogma, the legendary version, Monte Carlo, Aphion's Epilogue, a fan favourite from Vogue, although they weren't that good. These ARs were water rifles in D1. Rapid fire frame autos were no good in D1, lads. They were terrible. Good for oracles. It was an oracle killer. That was pretty much it. So yeah, Stolen Miller, a taken shotgun. Let's just have a look at this. My god, look at how good that looks. Okay, and then finally, leaving with the GOAT, Hung Jury. Yeah, I had some multiple different roles on this, but Hung Jury was a meta of itself, especially for the King's Fall raid, and we did use it for other things. It got power crept eventually by the Burn and Eye and other explosive payload snipers, but my god, Hung Jury was really good, especially in D1, the amount of damage it did. So that's my vault. Let me just quickly look at Eververse here. Eververse store was very simple in D1. It wasn't too complicated. Look at that. Right? I mean, I'm not going to talk too much more about that, but that's what that was. I'll probably go and seek out Zer now, and then we'll finish the video up. Okay, and let's round out this Destiny 1 Classic video with Zer. I don't know how I missed him, but he's next to the damn Quartermaster Crucible. Let's see what he's got. So he would always sell a Legacy Engram that you could buy, and that would... Cryptarch into something that you may need. I believe it was smart loot. I think so. He's got the Immolation Fists for Solar Titan. There you go. With a what roll? Intellect. Intellect and... It's a weird roll. I'm not understanding why that rolls like just intellect. Okay, intellect, strength, Knucklehead Radar for PvP. Yeah. Heart of the Praxic Fire. Heart of the Praxic Fire we used for a lot of things. Now I'm remembering, was it Viking Funeral and stuff. 55 Intellect, 54 Discipline. This was good. Praise the Sun. Further decreases all ability cooldowns while Radiant. Man, I forgot about that, how good that was. Heart of the Praxic Fire, my gosh. That was insane. Hard Light, he's selling Hard Light. Yeah, obviously it is for strange coins. He's also selling some ornaments. He's very useful in D1. He's got heavy ammo simps and free of coins. Free of coins, stackable effect that increases the chance of the next altar you defeat or Crucible match. We could farm exotics via this, but I mean, that's maybe a video for another time. And glass needles to re-roll and target farm exotics for stat distributions. We had it then. 10-year-old system. Exotic shards and motes of light. So there you go. You've had the tour of the tower, tour of my vault. We can do much more things. I own all raid armor, I believe, in Destiny 1 for all characters. I even made a video about it, but I might revisit that at some stage and do a little bit of a raid armor showcase for D1 because I own all of it for raid armor. I'm talking Age of Triumph with the cosmetics. Yeah, for example, what you see here is the raid armor for King's Fall, the cosmetic version. Yeah, because the ornament is applied. Okay, I don't want to deactivate it because I can't remember if you lose it or not. I don't think you do. But yeah, and I've got them for all raids. Anyways, that was the Destiny Classic video. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.